So welcome everybody. I'm super pleased to introduce our Master of Science program with the focus on data and measurement. This is a Master of Science program offered by the Joint Program in Survey Methodology at the University of Maryland. My name is Frauke Kreuter. I'm the director of the Joint Program. And I'll introduce the idea behind this program in a moment, and then I'm happy to answer any questions you might have to ask. Before I get started to talk about the program itself, let me ask you some questions. If you think about how you would answer the following question: what percentage of students aged 5 to 17 attended private schools in 2016? How would you go about that? And what is your gut feeling what the answer would be? Likewise, if you think about the percentage of Canadian adults used cannabis in the past 3 months, what's your guess? And what would you suggest how one could get to a reliable figure that can tell us the answer to that question? Those are the kind of questions we grapple with, right? They are policy related questions, the need for information for certain data, for good measurements, societal aspects. And what our training program provides is how to do that, how to construct a measurement instrument that gets at this kind of information or data in. Let me give you the answers and so that you can compare if your guesses were actually correct. On the number of private school attendees in 2016, that would be 9%. I personally thought it was much higher, but gut instinct is not always the best source for finding the right answer. And as for cannabis users in the past 3 months in Canada, the statistics office in Canada reports about 16% of the Canadian population being engaged in such activities. Now, you can reasonably answer, well, how did they get that number? And is that reliable? And there are a variety of ways how this data can be collected. A traditional source of data collection to answer such kind of questions would be a sample survey, meaning interviewers walk around, solicit answers from people that were randomly selected to participate in a study, or they call them up on the phone, or increasingly web surveys are administered to capture such information. But there are a variety of other ways to collect data, whether these are experiments, focus groups, or text analysis from printed material. And increasingly, we have access to administrative records made available by agencies, all levels, federal, state, and local agencies, as well as digital traces in social media or other transactions that happen online or through other digital media that we can tap into. And in of digital traces, there are a couple of exciting products out there that have been already using such kind of information. This example you see here is an attempt to use prices posted online to come up with indices. So what you see in this graph is a comparison of, in the orange line, an index created using web scraping, a technique to capture prices online and then estimate how the prices changes over time to mimic the inflation series. And in blue, the official numbers that the Bureau of Labor Statistics in the US puts out to provide information on inflation series. Now, why would we need such alternative indicators? Not every country has statistical offices that are trusted by everyone. Even those countries that do have it might not have enough resources to provide these information to survey data collection. And so constant innovation is something needed in this field and something we train in our program. Private sector companies are just as interested in people from our program as the government statistical agencies are. They, on the other hand, look for people who can enhance their skill set through an angle or knowledge on how to conduct a survey, draw samples, and the like. Here are job postings from Google, Facebook, Apple, and Amazon, all looking for survey statistician and people of the type that we teach in our program. So let me tell you what is the content and the core part of our program. It's a 40 credit master program. It's at the University of Maryland in College Park. And we are teaching you both how to design an experiment or a survey data collection, but also how to capture information from administrative data sources, from social media sources, or transaction data and perform either one of these into statistical products that can be used for decision making. Over the course of 2 years, you will learn a variety of the fundamentals of data collection, fundamentals of inference, the fundamentals of computing and data display, as well as core statistical principles and advanced modeling techniques that allow you to excel in any job, no matter whether it's in the government or in the private sector. Other courses are to a specialization or an area of concentration you can pick. We offer 3 of those concentration. One is in biological sciences, one is in survey statistics, and one is in data science. Core sampling techniques, for example, are taught to everybody, but the variety of electives, in particular in our data science track, where the field is moving so fast, that allows you to pick courses in, for example, machine learning for social scientists or database management and other techniques that are particularly relevant if you aim at a career that's more geared towards data science. The logos you see in the middle are examples for places in the DC area that repeatedly host our interns in the summer of the first year. Many of our students in the program already work at these agencies, and that is an option for you too. We do allow the help to reside with such agency as you continue your study. So some of our students are part-time and choose to work at one of these places while conducting their studies. The employers that our alumni go to are depicted here on the slides. Similar logos appear for the internships for a good reason, because often those that already do an internship or work during their study at one of these places are of particular interest for them to be hired afterwards. But also universities or research center have been very interested in hiring alumni from our program, and I'm proud to say that over the course of the 25 years that the program is running, we had maybe 1 or 2 students that ended up not being employed, but those actually for family reasons that they choose to not continue a career in this profession. Otherwise, we have a 100% employment rate, which is pretty great. It's a niche field, it's a niche specialization, but that also ensures employment probably the rest of your career. So if this sounds interesting as a topic, we have a link here in the slide deck that we will distribute to anyone who signed up to the webinar that gets you direct to the application to the UMD Graduate School. The application fee is $75. What you need to have is a BS or MA degree with the minimum of 3.0 GPA, a TOEFL score of 96, and make sure that you apply within the application period. For any questions, we are available at JPSM contact@umd.edu. And most importantly, we are available for questions and answers right now. We have other options too. If enrolling into a master program seems too involved and you don't want to commit for something like that right away, there are classes that we offer online that you can sign up to, all the way from 1 credit to 3 credit classes, meaning 4 to 12 weeks, depending on how much time you have. And you can check out if you like those and if you like the topics and the way we teach before you want to make a commitment. So this said, let me turn it over to Jody to moderate us for the discussion section.
Thank you, Frauke. Some of the questions that have come up in the past is if someone would need to take the GRE in order to apply and have that score for the MS application.
We do not longer require the GRE, which is a novel thing for us. The University of Michigan and the University of Maryland both decided to look much more closely at the application material and the motivation letter, and not to put such heavy weight on the GRE. In which case, if you don't take the GRE, your application is still considered just like all the other ones.
What is the typical timeline for completing the MS program for a part-time student?
Typical is a little hard to tell for me. So because it does depend a little bit on whether they work for a government or a private sector employer. But I would say the majority really completes it like one would expect for a part-time student in no more than 4 years. Many aim at 3, so I would say they're 2 third-time students. But in 4 years, we usually have all part-time students finish the program.
Could you clarify what sort of programming background students be looking for when applying to the data science area of concentration? That's been a common question that's come through.
Yes, having experience with data and having taken an intro program as it would be offered in a computer science department is certainly something we look for when we allow people to come in. However, in that field, it is so common to self-teach programming that we do allow for alternatives. So if people can show that they have taken other types of trainings, let's say Coursera courses or others, where we can verify to some extent, or if they can show, GitHub repositories that show their programming skills, that certainly is considered and can have an equally good shot as the transcript of a course have. I also see that Alina Mays joined us, a student in our program, and knows the program from the student's perspective very well. And so I would like to turn over the mic to Alina and welcome Alina. Maybe if you can share your experience talking to the students, your own work experience, and why you would recommend or maybe not recommend the program to prospective students.
Yeah, so can you hear me okay? Oh, wait, I have to turn on my mic. Can you hear me? Yeah, I have my mic. Okay. Yeah, so I started the program in kind of like that test way. I think I took a test the first couple of years I was in the program. I really enjoyed freshman seminar, which I'm not sure if you talked about this. I came on a couple of minutes late. But I think this was the best part of the program for me where, did I say is it called freshman seminar? That's definitely not what it's called. But it's called PhD seminar. Yes. So where first year students get together and talk about, read different articles and kind of scrutinize good things and bad things that were happening to them in just like a very discussion type way. And also that class was meant to bring ideas that could possibly be thesis, your finest thesis paper. So we got a lot of feedback back, and we weren't like, I never felt like kind of left alone in the wind to figure out what. So I really enjoyed that about the program, and just outside of the program, I made a lot of good friends and connections, and we did a lot of studying together outside of the program, and I feel that there was just a community around it. So I just really liked that I was doing my PhD. For the first couple of years, I was also working. And so it really helped me. I was also working in survey stuff. So it kind of helped me to be able to kind of transfer that over to work. And also, just I had my work colleagues also that kind of just supported me and helped me with the survey stuff. So overall, I felt like it was since I'm still in it, a really great program. And you guys just have so many different things to offer. You can go for the PhD. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has from like a student perspective of what it might be like to be in the program or any.
Like, how well does this Master in Survey Methodology program prepare students for future social science PhDs? For example, like economics or sociology or public policy or that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so this is a good question. We had actually on Econ Twitter, someone was asking for what are good programs, sort of as a pathway, and they were and what's a good program to learn social statistics in general. And I was very pleased to see that someone not from our program, linked to our program and suggested coming to JPSM because it does. If you plan on any PhD work that requires you to collect data and not just analyze secondary data, but really understand, data or be capable of sampling yourself and things like that, it's an excellent preparation. I mean, we have seen people both do their PhD within JPSM with the focus on, let's say, public policy type questions or econ type questions, or move over to those programs and really then have the skills. Another way to answer your question is what we see often in our on-site courses is that people who do a PhD in economics or in public policy, they take our classes because they feel like they're lacking the skills in order to conduct their PhD work.
I think one thing that stands out about this program is I felt like there was a lot of application, like I understood what I'm going to be doing outside of the program. Are you a social scientist or on the math side of it?
Yeah, I have a major in sociology, but right now I work at Westat.
I see, yeah. I felt like it was very like real life type of situation so you could understand really what it's going to be used for, and just because the professors are not just professors, they're also doing this right now, and you have those people who are currently in that field, it's just way more application based than just okay, learn this.
And so I think this combination of working at Wested and having a sociology degree is actually the perfect type, right, of people that come in, because it would allow you to really beef up your quantitative skill, probably more than you learned in a traditional sociology program. And that's the kind of additional skill set you need if you want to go after a PhD, whether that is then in survey methodology or in sociology, doesn't matter, right? But you have the theoretical knowledge from your undergraduate in sociology. Now you beef up your statistics and data skills, and then I think you would be on a great pathway for a PhD, and presumably can cut down actually a little bit on the class taking time for the PhD, because you have those quantitative skills that otherwise the courses leading up to the qualifying exams in PhD programs would capture.
Right. What's the main difference between the survey methodology program Maryland compared to the one at Michigan?
No difference. So, there's a difference in location, right? That's the main difference. And because of the different location, the student body is a little different between the two places. So, like Alina, in DC, we have a lot of students who work at the government agency, work at Wested, work at RTI. So they're more applied in their focus. Whereas sometimes we have on the Michigan side students that come straight out of undergraduate, right? So that the community feels a little different. And obviously, in ours, a very different place than DC and College Park is, but the courses are exactly the same. And the admissions committee is a joint admissions committee, so we apply the same standards to the two programs, and we really coordinate on a weekly basis, classes and everything. Yeah, and the
And the
classes are shared.
students,
Yeah, sorry, Alina, go ahead.
I was going to say the students take classes together. So if sometimes the professors will be at University of Maryland, else, and then the other class will be on a conferenced in, and then other times the professor will go to Michigan and be there live, and we will be conferencing in. So we take classes together, basically. So we're sharing the same classes, and
We have a question that came through the chat line. Does living in Canada have an impact on finding a job?
I see the chat question now. So Nike is asking, you have a master's in public health and from another US school through an online program. I'm not sure about the job market in Canada. I think that for us, what we see is that we get, every month multiple requests for students that finish our program, because some of the skills, in particular on, in sampling or data analysis of complex survey, and the statistical modeling skill is something that many places really search for desperately. So, if you think getting some additional training in those places would help you, we would be happy to coach you through the application process for the online certificate program. So that might be a good first step. Otherwise, come move to the US.
and Facebook and Google. I don't know if there's a Facebook and Google in Canada, but they're always hiring survey type positions constantly. They're looking for people because I do think there's a huge shortage of that really specific type of thing.
So, how is, say, the statistics or data science track in methodology different from like a traditional master in statistics or data science?
Excellent question. So compared to a traditional master in statistics, and Alina might be able to come in on that one too, I think we are more applied. We have a focus on data and real data problems. So I know there's still statistics programs out there where the closest you come to a data set is a simulation, right? Where you make your data and then you examine the performance of an algorithm that you develop and whatnot. So I think a lot of the classes that you see in traditional statistics programs are more focused on doing proofs and sort of developing new statistical methods and techniques, whereas for us the focus is more on the applied side. That's a key difference. As for data science programs, I think our program differentiates itself that it takes the data generating process heavily into account, whereas other data science programs focus more on the pipeline afterwards, sort of, okay, given data are there, how can I build a database infrastructure that, gets these data dashboards that they need to go into, that element. So that would be a differentiation I would draw. But maybe, Alina, you want to add to the stats versus survey, your insight.
I think you said this, but it's survey based, so all the stats are going to be towards. You can have a regular stats class that are the basic one. I think we have that's just about statistics on the whole population, but all the other statistics are really geared towards when you have a survey and the statistics that are applied to that, which are different than just regular stats courses. So, trying to think of an example. The formulas are different. So, if you can explain it that way, we're learning different formulas that apply directly to surveys. That's the biggest difference. But I do think that we did also take some stat classes that were just at the University of Maryland. But everything that we do is based statistics that are applied to surveys. Mostly that's what I took at least. So it's really not the same. I think if you go through a regular statistics program, the survey part of it might just be like a little bit of one class, but here all of the classes are how to apply it to surveys.
This is from Imani, and who has degrees in political science and integrated communications and is now an independent contractor for public relations services. Wants to move into human studies to better implement digital marketing efforts, and is wondering, would this program help in efforts that would be geared toward web application development for concise digital marketing?
I'm not sure, Imani, if that would be the right program for you. I think that we wouldn't go into like these. I mean, the computation or the programming piece of creating apps and the like, right? What it would help you though, and you might want to look into some of these online courses first, because what we do teach is sort of the experience, the logic, the cognitive and psychological underpinnings of consumer experience research. So those pieces could be very valuable. It sounds like you're not looking after an entire master degree. So in that case, I would recommend looking at the set of online courses and choose so that they best fit the niche that you want to go into as an independent contractor.
I'm not sure if this is what she's talking about, but I know that some companies are doing like serving like let's say Facebook or Google, they do surveys to their consumers to better market stuff to them. So in terms of what type of ads they're going to show people when they get on Facebook and stuff. And so if that's what you're talking about, like creating those type of web-based surveys in order to market better towards those people, then yes, some of the things, right? What did you say that, Fraka, that some of the things in this program are directly related to that?
Right. So the web survey part, or exactly like how to even do those kind of things, definitely. If you're looking more at the technical side, what I was saying, we not do is like teach you to program app and make them so efficient that they don't drain your phone's battery and that kind of. That's not what we do.
Yeah, we don't do that, but we do like A/B testing. That's what she may be talking about, because I did see a couple of positions for that type of thing on Facebook, on their Facebook website. So if you're talking about like using social, what people are doing socially to target ads at them, then yes.
Yeah, that absolutely. We have a course on sort of experimental design and inference from experiments, or drawing inference of that type from quasi-experimental studies. And I worked at Facebook last fall for 4 months, and I've seen them clamoring for people who have these skills, to better sort of what marketing strategies do work and what have you. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she said yes, that is what she's talking about. So I see that in the chat now. And so I think a lot of that also has to do with, like you said, on the social side of like what to write in those questions, how it should look to people, like psychology of where you should put it on the page or things like that.
Feel free to reach out if you have further questions, or if you know of anyone who might be interested. I'm happy to answer those over email, or schedule another call. And for any other questions on the certificate or the one-off online classes, feel free to reach out to Jody. And thanks for joining us.